It was late 2012. We, just in the mail, got a notice, compulsory acquisition by Auckland Transport to create the Central Rail Loop. We need your property.
Straight away that thought of, wow, this could be amazing. Could this be the plan?
I remember exactly what was going on in my mind. I was thinking, woohoo, we're getting out of this building. But no, seriously, the building was old, and not just old, but we've outgrown it.
18th of December 2012, that actually was our very first meeting with Auckland Transport to actually dialogue with them about what is this notice and what does it mean, and what are you going to give us? And that meeting was actually turned out to be quite disappointing. Basically just said, we'll agree on what the market value is and write you out a cheque and we'll take your property. Thanks very much. We walked out of that saying, well, no way, there's no way we were going to agree to that. We number one, we need, just finding a replacement property in central Auckland. How hard is that going to be? Number two, the cost to not only find a replacement property, but then to adapt it and renovate it or build from scratch something that we need. Number three, we need something a whole lot bigger than what we've currently got. So it's going to take a whole lot of finance. So we're not going to accept a cheque, for the market value, and that started a whole 3-year negotiation process with Auckland Transport.
It's hard when things don't happen straight away when you want them to happen. That's with anything in life. But in terms of the building, I was just like, okay, God, we trust you and we need you. This has to be you.
You had your ups and downs all the time because kind of you'd hear one thing one day and you think, oh, we could get reinstatement. Then you would have the opposite and it's like, well, there is no way that's going to happen. And then we're going, well, how will we ever step into the new level that we're believing for? And you had to guard your spirit of going, well, is this man-made or is this a God opportunity? Did God ultimately see what we needed? And you had to keep coming back to that.
Through the negotiation period, Auckland Transport sort of came on board and said, hey, eventually decided, hey, we'll help you look for some possible sites. And then May 2014, all of a sudden out of the blue, the big site was up for tender.
I called Paul and said, the site's coming to market. This is the one we want. I don't know if you can get your skates on in time, but this is the one we want. So if you took out an aerial map of Auckland, it was the only place we should have been going.
So we organised a visit, Pastor Paul and I started walking through it.
And straight away, all of those kind of development potential juices started running. Maybe we could lift that, maybe we could use some of that, and then we could develop that. But even though there was nothing natural, you could go to the bank on. So I think we went through the tender process. We felt like we pitched it a fair and above fair, only to discover at that point that Auckland Grammar, which is above that site, looking for land, had won the tender.
You go from a high of we found something and it's for sale to how did that happen? Why did someone else take it out from under our feet?
I often think it's like Peter, it's like, well, he sank, but God was there. And it was kind of, this has to be God now, because even with all of our energy, expertise, this has to be more than us.
A couple of months went by. Then, out of the blue, one night Josh rang me and said, hey, I think Auckland Grammar aren't going to make it. I don't think they're going to go unconditional in time.
And the advice I gave Paul at the time, if I recall correctly, was get yourself in a position, be ready, be able to move swiftly.
So I was actually overseas working around the clock, visiting churches by day, and at night on the phone, lawyers, bankers and agents trying to get this deal together, which just somehow the grace of God, we managed to convince BIC to take us on and we got the deal done.
I've been in the commercial property industry for 16 years. I never come across the kind of miracles from a transactional basis that I have had in doing property with life.
The next sort of miracle was they were actually looking at the site right next door, owned by council, to use as a land swap with us. All of a sudden it started to dawn on us, hey, this could be incredible. If we could get both sites, this would set us up for generations.
The likelihood of being able to find two large flat sites side by side that can be joined, nearly impossible.
Since mid-2015, we'd been working with council for a pre-submission meeting as part of the mediation, drawing up plans.
So you submit what your proposal is to council. They will spend a period of time, 2 to 3, 4 weeks, putting it through all of the various areas within all their departments, traffic, urban design, effects and all that kind of stuff. Then you'll go and have a pre-app meeting with them, to which you could probably say the feedback was quite overwhelmingly not supportive of what was proposed.
They said, not on our watch are you building a church this close to the CBD. Not going to happen.
I think in their view the land should have been utilised and maximised for apartments. Straight away we had some strategy meetings where we all got in around the table and just tried to find an avenue through the process for how we could get the outcome that was required. And to be honest, a lot of it was probably driven by the board and Pastor Paul Maree.
4 years into the journey, we'd resolved the negotiation with Auckland Transport, come out with an amazing result where we swapped our Mount Eden site for land, 2 sites, 3 times the size in Normanby Road. So we were in a great space, and I think it was late 2016, we were just trying to lock the bank down on exactly how much will you lend us to do this build. And then one Friday, I remember it very vividly, our account manager came in and he just sort of looked a little bit sheepish, and he was coming in to tell us exactly what's the amount they could lend us. And he sat down and he said, basically, the bank doesn't support this project. And I just couldn't believe it. It was like I'd been punched in the guts. I was speechless. I just couldn't. So, no, there must be an amount. You may not be the full amount that we know. The answer was, we're out.
What's going to happen now? We're over the line. But I'll never forget for myself, being reminded of David McCracken's prophecy that I think it was in 2014 where he actually said that we would live on the creative edge of faith, and that it was the scary part of faith. And definitely there were those moments where those prophetic words just kicked in. God's opened this door. So if this bank says no, and it would seem like there's no other bank that's going to do it, there is an answer. So we've got to keep walking and knock on every door.
It was really through the relationships, the purchase of Manukau and the build for Life South, that we struck up a great relationship with James Palmer and Christian Savings. And they came fully to the party and said, we're 100% in. We managed to get BNZ to come on board.
Prayer changes the spiritual climate of things that we don't see. Jesus said to the disciples, there are some things that just take prayer and fasting. You can't do this in your own strength. You can't work this out. You can't, use your skills. It's going to take more.
There were a number of times that we were in the offices till 4 or 5 a.m. reprinting 2,500, 3,000 pages of documents just to get it in. We had to, because we need to start on site.
But to see that turn around, and I still can't tell you how it happened, but for the council at the end to allow a non-notified resource consent, it's nothing short of miraculous. How
do you get 2 sites next door to each other in Auckland City, such prime land? How do you get them together?
So it's across the road from a large vacant office building that has 750 car parks available to us on Sunday at the same time.
How do you get the funding in a time where all the banks were shutting down? Like, how do you get a contractor who's got space in their diary, who can pull together all the resource in such an incredibly full-on construction market where there's no resource available, and then how do you deliver on time?
I would challenge anyone to deny the miracle and all of that.
I just saw this huge auditorium full of people, arms raised, worshipping God, people finding God for the very first time. And it's that thought that's just been in my mind.
I just have my spirit, the prophetic word that was spoken over the church from Michael Maiden about he sees people lined up waiting to get in, and when they get inside, heaven's going to be waiting for them. It's a building, but it's a building to house the presence of God.
And the presence of God is just going to touch hearts and say there is a God that can meet us where we're at and do miracles. And to see how many people have already stepped up and said, this is going to be part of our legacy. And I believe that miracle is still in the process. There are many that will join the team, but the faithfulness of so many who have said, this is not about a building. This is about creating a vehicle through which God can massively impact a city, a nation, and further afield. I've always believed it's not about what we achieve, it's about what happens through what we say yes to.